Hi, my name is Harry Leung, and I'm a solutions engineer at VertiGIS, and today I will be showing you how to use our built-in log viewer in VertiGIS Studio Mobile to debug any issues that you may encounter when developing your own workflows. Let's dive in. In VertiGIS Studio Mobile, builders can integrate their own VertiGIS workflows to perform various tasks or queries on their GIS data. A key part of the development process will involve debugging workflows to make sure they run as expected before you deploy to a production environment. For example, here we have a workflow that is supposed to create a buffer around a selected point, but the resulting buffer feature is larger than expected. Let us use the measurement tool to see how far off our buffer workflow is. As you can see, the radius of this buffer is around 240 feet from the center point. In cases where we notice an error in the workflow, but no message appears, we provide a very convenient tool in all of our mobile apps to allow you to zero in on the exact point the workflow is causing problems. The Settings button is located at the bottom of the I Want To menu, and when we open the menu, we now have access to the log level setting and the link to open the log viewer. In most cases, you will have to change the log level setting to debug before you can get all the details about the workflow. With that setting now active, we can go debug our workflow in the log viewer. Here in the viewer, we now have access to all the messages being generated in response to the interactions between the user and the app, and the symbols on the left indicate the message type. To identify which message contains the information about the error, we can use the Show Filters button to access the toggles for each category. Since info messages are typically logging status updates, we can turn that off to declutter our log. In our example, we are likely looking at an issue between the form submission and the buffer task in the workflow, so we can filter for those messages using the search bar. The log message for a workflow item will contain a JSON object, and you can expand the message by clicking the arrow on the left to go further down into the attributes. In our case, we are looking for the output of the form, which captures the user input and passes it to the next step in the workflow. The state section will contain the values that we are looking for. Given what we know from the output, it is likely that the units drop-down list or the number value field is incorrect. Both the drop-down list and the number input are correct, so it is likely that the form was configured correctly, and the next step is causing the error. In this log, we need to open the input for this buffer query to see whether the data from the form is being used properly. And it seems that the unit of measurement is being read as meters instead of feet, so something is going on that we need to fix. Let's head to the designer to take a look at our workflow. Here in the VertiGIS Studio Workflow Designer, we can make changes to our tools whenever we run into problems in our apps. In this example, we have an issue with the buffering task, so let's open that up and see what changes we can make. So in the configuration menu for this tool, we can see that the unit input is set to meters rather than referring to values in the form like the other two are. We just need to fix this input, and now we should be good to go. We can now save our workflow and return to the mobile app. To access the changes we made to the workflow, we just need to refresh the app using the button in the I Want To menu. And now, when we run the workflow this time, it'll create the buffer successfully. And to confirm, we can check the log messages again. One useful trick to quickly open the log viewer if you're using a Windows device with a keyboard is to use the F12 button shortcut. So let's go back to the buffer message with the error. And yes, as we expected, there isn't an error in this step anymore, and we can see that the output is correct. And that is how to debug your workflows in VertiGIS Studio Mobile. Thanks for tuning in. And if you found this video helpful, please share this with other people who may need this tech tip as well. If you'd like to give VertiGIS Studio a try, go to apps.vertigisstudio.com for a free 60-day trial. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to our channel for more VertiGIS tech tips. Bye for now.